to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to review not one, but two films for you today. Flight Risk hit theaters this past Friday. We checked it out together on Thursday, and then we accompanied each other to another screening on Saturday night over at the Soho House. Shout out to our good friend over there, Andrew, at the Soho House, to check out Companion. As always, I am joined by my podcast partner here, Mr. Dom Fisher. How are you tonight?
What's popping kernels? Man, hopefully, we can offer or provide some refuge for this hellscape of a week that we've all had, and ending the damn week with or starting with, how do you want to look at it, with Mahomes and the Chiefs again going to the Super Bowl. And this morning we had like a tattoo legend and Jack Rudy pass away. So it's just been a discombobulated, unnatural feeling week. But we're going to try to, make it, a little better.
We're going to liven up the mood a little bit here. We got two pretty solid movies on the surface. And then, of course, if we don't run out of time here, we're going to dive into the world of the Razzie nominations as well. I think we're going to try to find time for that because there's some stuff to talk about on that forefront as well. I know everybody's like, oh, the Razzies are awful. Yeah, they are, but I like to still follow them just because they make me laugh most of the time. But, it's called personality. It's something that we should all have some point in time. But yeah, nonetheless, we're just going to dive right into our films. We'll start off with the movie that released this weekend with Flight Risk, and I'll let my podcast partner here, Dom, take the floor after this little...
Flight Risk. A U.S. Marshal boards a small plane to transfer a government witness to New York. As they come across they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions start to rise as not everyone on the flight is who they appear to be. The film is directed by Mel Gibson and stars Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and the one and only Topher Grace. And I guess I'll kick this one off. Now, we know, and if you don't know, in the movie industry, January is kind of it's like an experimental month. It's we're not sure this is going to work type of thing. So sometimes you get some heat, sometimes you get some falls. Now, is this movie, a super great movie? No, it's not the best movie you're going to see all year. Is it like super rewatchable? You're going to watch it and tell your friend? Maybe not. But is it like a fun little time? I'd say so. Now, I think the film is carried by the performances. It's carried by this kind of crazy, off the wall, unhinged, for lack of a better word, performance of Mark Wahlberg and Topher Grace. Because his character is the way he is, it's hard not to see Eric Foreman from That 70s Show in some instances. And then Michelle's was okay. This is where you might have to call in question the writing and maybe just Mel Gibson direction, because the woman character is so bad at her job. She is terrible. She is a trained veteran of the U.S. Marshals and ignores every single red flag and instinct that she has, on top of her lines just not being crafted very well. Whereas when she has a lot of the interactions, whereas Mark's his dialogue is very it's raunchy, it's over the top, it's aggressive, and it definitely allows him to be the star of the film. So it's one of those films where you do question, like, who is the star? I don't know, honestly. But it's one of those films where you go in knowing like this is gonna be one of those, I don't know, and it's a popcorn movie. This is one you're gonna walk out of having you had a little bit of a fun experience. You may not have felt awakened or shaken or anything, but it's fun. Just for the fact of the back and forth between, well, hell, not even just back and forth, just Mark Wahlberg by himself trying to get a rise and affect the other two people on this plane. There are some tense moments, and then there is some weird but like acceptable and kind of welcoming moments of levity where you have um, one of the characters calling in on the phone and trying to help divert this disaster from happening. And now me and Ricky spoke about this. We don't know if it's walking this line of being offensive or not, because I don't know how this actor actually speaks. But part of it, you're like, I don't know if this is offensive or not. I guess it's not for us to say because we don't really know how this guy speaks. But the dialogue and the back and forth between him and who seems to be our lead is rather funny because it comes out of nowhere. But I mean, overall, I didn't hate the film. I had fun with it because I knew like this is not gonna be like the best thriller you've seen since whatever you think is the best thriller. It is what it is. The worst part of the movie is the CGI that they used for no reason. But I will say they're not the only ones that are doing this. I see a lot of shows, a lot of films. They focus on the interior of their scenes. The exterior, they're like, why shoot an actual motel when we can just CGI one along with a moose that looks terrible? But it's a split second, but it may also lead to you going, oh, this is the kind of movie I'm about to watch. But, again, I didn't completely hate it. I didn't love it. It is what it is. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going into the movie expecting a no-nonsense action movie that was quite possibly at times ridiculous, over top, and dumb, and all of those things anywhere in between. And I walked away exactly getting all of that, right? You know what I mean? I think there's levels of this movie that are very, very good. And to me, it is the perfect B movie. You know what I mean? Like I will say this. I loved Mark Wahlberg in this though, because I felt like his weird villainous performance that he gave, the accent, and what I liked about the writing here was the comedic timing. I didn't expect this movie to be funny. I wasn't like, I didn't really think that. I didn't really know a whole lot about the movie. I legitimately thought going into this movie that like Mark Wahlberg was just trying to save somebody on a plane. Like I legitimately had no clue that he was playing the villain in this movie until I started watching the movie. You know what I mean? Until he got onto the plane and I was like, oh shit, he's the bad guy. Like, okay, I like this. A lot of the qualms that Tom talked about, I have some of those similar qualms. I liked Wahlberg. Topher Grace played a good, like, nerdy chicken shit style thing. I liked the arc of his character as the third act kind of progressed. One of the things that I did like and appreciate what Gibson did here, there's like an underrated aspect of the film being shot in this claustrophobic nature, because it's very like tight quarters, right? You know what I mean? Most of it being shot inside this plane. So when things kind of unravel, he kind of makes you feel that intensity, right? There's one scene where they kind of drive into this like snowy mountain, and it was actually a really cool shot scene. I really liked it a lot. There's some cool elements in this. Is it a great movie? No. Is it the perfect January movie? That's where I'm at on it. You know what I mean? It's the perfect little January movie that had some action, made me laugh, and I really, really enjoyed Mark Wahlberg in what seemed to be a role that it seemed like he had a lot of fun in. You know what I mean? Like he seemed like he was having fun. And
y'all need a pilot.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like there was elements that I was like, holy shit, this is pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed myself. It's not great, but I think I enjoyed it for what it was and what it was trying to accomplish. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then so we got, as I mentioned, we were capable of seeing Companion this weekend over at the Soho House, and I'll let Dom give us the rundown there.
All right, Companion. A weekend getaway turns bloody and violent when a subservient android that's built for human companionship goes haywire. Directed by Drew Hancock, the film stars Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid, Megan Suri, Lucas Gage, Rupert Friend, and Harvey. I'm sorry, Harvey G, because I'm not gonna butcher your last name. I'm just not doing it. But I'll let you go first on this one.
Shit, there we go. So let me start by saying this. Okay, I knew very little about this film going into it, and we're not gonna dive too deep into it. Obviously, the film's not out yet, so we're not gonna dive too much into spoilers here and just talk about what we like or didn't like. But my highly recommend, do not watch a trailer for this. I heard that one of the trailers gives a lot of the stuff away, so
Mm-hmm.
don't watch trailers. Don't watch trailers. Don't watch trailers. But when you have the screen pop up and say from the producers of Barbarian, I knew we were in for a treat. One of the things I didn't realize until I did my research here about Drew Hancock. Drew Hancock wrote and directed this movie. I looked at his filmography, and this is his feature film debut.
Mm.
He has done a couple of TV series. He created the show called My Dead Ex, which was apparently on, I don't know, Awesomeness TV, which I don't know what that is. Um, but yeah, this was his feature film debut, which he was a staff writer on Blue Mountain State, which actually I just saw, which is amazing. Love Blue Mountain
Yeah,
State.
yeah.
But there's a few things. So from the producers of Barbarian, you have Jack Quaid, who I believe is slowly becoming one of my favorite actors. I love seeing him in everything that he's in. I think that he is brilliant in this. I'm not gonna really kind of go into the depths of his performance because I think there's some layered spoilers in that. But I do think that the writing of Josh, the character that he's playing, is pretty magnificent. And I do think that the social undertone of the balance of the idea of a man's needing to be in control of a relationship while also being a mix of a calculated murder scheme and then at the same time the dangers of I think it's kind of all brought together with this brilliant comedic undertone. And Drew Hancock really balances all of the elements of that pretty well. I thought this was like a very well shot psychological thriller / dark comedy. Sophia Thatcher, another brilliant turn after Heretic. She's fantastic in this. I don't want to not mention Harvey G and then Lucas Gage. Lucas Gage he's slowly moving up the ladder. You know what I mean? When it comes to he's like almost like a perfect addition to any movie. He's not gonna. I don't know if he'll ever be the guy, but when he's in something, he's gonna be good in it. And I thought that he was good in this. But yeah, overall, it's we're in January. I mean, I think I've seen 2025 movies, but this is easily the best movie I've seen this year. I can't wait to watch it again because I think there's probably going to be things that you might have missed the first time watching it a second time. I think it's the perfect date night movie. I think it's the perfect movie just to go by yourself and watch a movie if you want to, type of thing. But I loved every minute of Companion. And what I love the most about it is that brisk 1 hour and 37-minute runtime, because that was amazing. But yeah, big, huge thumbs up for me for Companion. What about you, Dom?
Yeah, to piggyback off that runtime, I think, and I said it twice after we saw the film, is being able to fit so much commentary and a great story into that runtime deserves right there. Like, you need to see this movie. This is exactly what I think of when I think of a dark comedy, right? A lot of times things are labeled comedy or dark comedy, and I'm like, I mean, I understand why you labeled it that, but it don't hit how I think you want it to hit. And this movie, I think, does, because it makes you laugh or chuckle at these kind of inappropriate moments, because the situation is very serious. But there's just some moments where it's like it's more like real life where they're like this moment is actually happening, not written to be overly dramatic. It's just like, this is kind of funny because real life is funny even when shit's fucked up. Um, I love Sophie Thatcher. Like in Heretic, she is one of the best, I think, right now at these micro expressions in her face. Like she is able to say a lot with just like the wrinkle of her chin or like the little way she moves her mouth and her eyes. There's so much she can do to convey an emotion, a feeling, a scene while not having to say anything. And same thing, Jack Quaid, he's just good, man. I know he's off an acting tree, but I mean, he is surpassing his pops like very easily, at least to me. Um, yeah, like it is heading into February where we're gonna hit, Valentine's Day. This is um, a great theater experience. I think I don't know. It's just one of those ones where, because I don't want to spoil anything. There's so much we can say, but it is perfect for the times. It has a lot to say about a lot of hot button issues, and it doesn't. But it's not. It's not trying to be preachy about it. It's just saying like, look, this is what we all see, and you go, oh yeah, I've noticed that, and I've heard these things. So there's a lot of like little trigger words. You go, oh yep, 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 and it also will kind of make you, depending on who you are watching it, will kind of make you may possibly, look and turn and go, oh man, do I do that? I hope I don't do that. But yeah, I mean, it's from beginning to end, it's concise. It doesn't have any wasted beats. It hits all the right like moments perfectly, and okay, I know it's gonna happen because another January movie happened just like this when and Megan and became a sequel. I can understand why people would want a sequel to this, but I just feel like there's some movies that end up being like I don't want to use the word classic lightly, but it just hits it the right way. That I'm like, don't make a sequel because I want this to be something that you just go back and watch and enjoy instead of being like, oh, I have to watch the next one and the next one. So hopefully this makes a bunch of money, but just leave it alone. Leave it alone and let it become a cult classic. Let this be the next movie that people go, hey, this movie came out 20 years ago. I need to show you this movie. It's one of my favorites. Let it be that instead of trying to make a whole franchise because we got enough franchises. But this, for being, like you said, this directorial debut, this being like a pretty original type story, it's fantastic. The jokes are hilarious. Um, yeah, the best movies. Yeah, that's especially right now. Like these 90-minute, we got it. We're leading into this trend of 3-hour movies, and we don't need that. If you can tell a story in 90 minutes, like that's what the people want, because we got to prepare for all this shit going down. I ain't got time to be sitting there for 3 hours. But yeah, love it. Hopefully everyone goes out to see it, and yeah, I think if you're gonna watch anything trailer wise for this, just watch those little teasers there. I think those teasers were perfect. Where you're like, yo, what the hell is this movie gonna be? And that's what you want to feel going into this, because there's stuff that you go, oh shit, I didn't expect any of this. And that's the beauty of this movie, as predictable as you start to feel it might be, it's not. So it's kind of beautiful in that way, that like it's refreshing and fresh, and yeah, you're all gonna love it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's just so much to love about this movie. Yeah, Barbarian team hasn't missed. Yeah. This is it's just great. You know what I mean? We're not to release their film. Yeah, it's pretty awesome how the script just comes together so brilliantly. Again, one of the things I need to do is like I need to rewatch it, because there's several moments in this film I'm like, whoa, like
Yeah.
you never really. It's like it's rare to be unpredictable in a way where you're like, okay, you know what I mean? And maybe there's context clues from like earlier in the film that maybe he like, oh, I'm going to throw this in your face, but you don't understand it type of thing yet.
Yeah.
And there's just one scene, and we talked about it outside the theater after we saw it. It was just like, oh shit, you too? Like I was like, oh man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like I said, I mean, it's just like the first very, very good movie of 2025. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. And you know what? We talked about two films and we talked about it in a brisk time frame. You know what? We're going to go ahead and talk about them Razzies. Razzie. I haven't really seen the nominations.
I ain't either.
You know what I mean? So we're going to talk. Let's talk first about, obviously, as we see here. Hang on, let me see. I'm going to try to give it a little as possible at the time here. But as you guys can see, as everybody can see at home, 7 nominations for quite possibly, in my opinion, one of the better movies. Ended up in my top 10 of 2024. Joker Dos, Folie Dos. Ended up with 7 nominations, the most amongst all films. Coming in with number 6, we had Borderlands, Madam Web, Megapolis, Reagan had 6. Dennis Quaid joined rare company of being both in a Best Picture movie and the Razzie Best Picture movie. There are 4 nominees for Unfrosted, 3 for Kraven the Hunter, 2 for Argyle, and 2 for The Crow. These are the films that received multiple nominations. All right. Worst screenplay. All right. First off, you knew Madam Web was going to be easy to pick down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you saw that coming a mile away. But we have 3 comic book movies on here, and then we have Megapolis, which was dying to be on here, and then we have Reagan as well. I'll be honest, haven't seen Reagan, have no desire to see Reagan. So if it sucks, I'll take your word for that one. One thing's for sure, when you talk about the Razzies, they're not going to put movies that nobody's ever heard of on here, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be the legit worst movies of 2025. You know what I mean? Like, because if people watch movies and they're like, "Oh man, Madam Web's the worst movie I saw last year," I'm going to ask you to watch more movies. Okay, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to say to you. Because I didn't think Madam Web was that bad. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was as bad as everybody said it was, but it's also definitely not the worst movie I saw in 2024. You saw Kraven the Hunter. I know you didn't like it, right?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, you haven't seen it.
I was gonna go see it, but they didn't have the time didn't line up with before the screening I was gonna see. Which is crazy though, that I mean, I guess it's not surprising Kraven's on there because it was fresh in everyone's memory. But just to for Sony to end the year, to end it with a bang, they changed the rating from PG-13 to R to make sure that it was brutal, and then people still were like, "Nah, this movie's ass." And that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought it was okay, but I mean, I definitely didn't think it was the worst.
And and then Joker, like me and Ricky have both talked about this before with each other, and just think that over time, as people let go of whatever animosity they have towards the first Joker or Todd Phillips or whatever, the prop Lady Gaga, they're gonna watch Joker Folie Do again, and they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, it was good." Because I've read the hate, and I'm just like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I haven't got it, nor will I figure out when I will get it. But I just don't get the hate. All right, let's move on to worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. One of my favorite things about this is the fact that Mufasa the Lion King continues to get the hate, and it continues to blow people out of the water at the box office. Y'all can all kiss my ass because I love that it's making money, and 2, it's not a bad movie. I actually like it. You know what I mean?
There's one of the songs that what was the one lion's name that they were trying to run from? The song he had, that the Bye Bye song, I listen to that all the time because he has some bars in there.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Am I surprised The Crow's on here? No, I didn't think it was terrible. I definitely, I'm still on the fence that it was just, I didn't hate
Crow,
it. But...
yeah, it was just okay. The original Crow is my favorite movie of all time. So I was very critical of this movie going into it, and it just felt like they sped through it too quick. They were trying to do so much. It wasn't so bad as I put on this list. It was just that it's hard to live up to Like it's same thing happened with Gladiator 2. Trying to live up to the Gladiator is very hard to do when it's a movie that people hold in their hearts as one of their favorites, and that's what this movie was struggling to do. Was trying to recapture the essence of the original Crow, and it's been tried with all these sequels, and no one's been able to do it because the movie is cursed to just be by the original. Don't try to touch it again. Leave it alone. Brandon Lee says no. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let's on the flip side again. This right here, just stop. Like that pisses me off. The entire cast of Megapolis, that's actually pretty funny. Unfrosted was pretty terrible.
Look, I was excited about Unfrosted, and then I remember when it dropped Netflix, I watched it, and I was like so disappointed. Besides Melissa McCarthy, it was terrible.
My friend Sean, someone in my audience, the crow snored for half the runtime. It was honestly more entertaining than hearing the people throw candy at hit the sleeping.
We were in the same theater then. We were in the same theater. There was a dude who was in the top left because I was kind of like on the same row. He was snoring his ass off, and I was throwing popcorn, candy, and he just wouldn't wake up.
That's actually funny as shit. Yeah, that's funny as hell. Let's see here. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't hate Borderlands. I don't care what anybody says.
I fell asleep, dog. I was so bored. I
didn't hate it. I thought it was fine.
I woke up to her saying, "Can you pass me my badonkadonk?" And I was like, "What? What's going on? Do y'all know what a badonkadonk is? What are y'all talking about?"
Let's see here. First off, FK Twigs does not deserve this disrespect. No. Okay, fuck you guys. All right, that was just Shia LaBeouf just is fucking idiot anyway. Tierra Him, John Voight. I like how they put people on here for multiple performances. Like it's awesome. Like he just is on here for every movie that he was in last year. You know what I mean? Like that makes me laugh. Ariana DeBose. I mean, can we talk about a career trajectory that's went downhill? Like she was terrible in Argot and terrible in Kraven the Hunter. So, let's see.
Argot just did not hit. It was.
That was awful. Worst actress. This hurts my soul just because Lady Gaga's on this list. But Atlas though, that shit was pretty bad. Like that was actually pretty bad.
That was terrible.
That was pretty bad.
Wasted a lot of good actors' time with that one.
I will say this: like when you look at this list, it's like a star-studded list. You know what I mean? Like Lady Gaga, Joaquin Phoenix. Like you got Oscar winners on here. You got Cate Blanchett. You know what I mean? You got Jack Black. You know what I mean? Dennis Quaid, Jerry Seinfeld, Lopez, Dakota Johnson, and then you have this guy that pretends to act Zachary Levi. No, Zachary Levi might have fallen off the radar or whatever, and he's gone off the deep end. But I will always have an immense amount of respect for the time that he gave Dom and I whenever we interviewed him. He was the nicest, kindest person I've ever met in my entire life. Like, you know, we went over our time and he told them basically to shut up and, you know, just let us continue our interview. And he was very kind, gracious and all that stuff.
And I watched that movie not that long ago. And I think it just hit the wrong audience because I think it hit the wrong audience. And then like because the characters that they were playing came from this like cartoon drawing world, they were so over the top that it kind of was off-putting, but I don't think it was terrible like that. I think kids would have really loved the movie, but it didn't have really any marketing and nobody really cared.
I think it's a lot of it because of him. You know what I mean? Like and the turn that he's kind of the tide that he's kind of turned in his personal reality, you know, personal world. Because that movie got pushed like 3 or 4 times, and you know, maybe if it came out prior to the things that came out, maybe it's a little bit better. But yeah, and then of course you see a theme here. A lot of the same movies are picture, director, actors, actresses. Again, it just at every level I look at this, just seeing Joker on here so much really just pisses me off. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people hated that just because they wanted to hate it. You know what I mean? So. Which is hilarious. John Voight, the latter being one of President Donald Trump's newly appointed ambassadors of Hollywood. He was nominated for his performance in a near record 4 films in 1 year. That's just Phoenix holds a rare distinction of receiving a Razzie nomination for acting for the same role he won an Academy Award for. That's actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Razzies are going to be announced on March 1st, 2025, the day before the Academy Awards. I just want to know, how do we become part of the Razzies?
Right.
Also, respect here for Zachary Levi. It's a front-handed compliment for his nomination for his worst actor. I love that. Anybody that can take that as a joke, I'm here for it.
That's
But yeah,
hilarious.
so I just want to know how I become one of the 202 members of the Razzies, because I would love that, if I'm
And
being
I
honest.
noticed I saw Jack Black on there for that Dear Santa movie, Dear Satan.
Yeah.
Uh, I watched it. I thought, look, people were off. They were, we're in this new kind of wave. We talked before, new kind of like Jesus Revolution wave type of thing. So as soon as people saw the trailer, they were like, I can't believe Jack Black sold out, he sold his soul, blah blah blah. And then you can tell them they never watched the movie because it's Jack Black. You know him. You know the movie's gonna have positivity and a positive ending. And spoiler alert, he was such a bad demon that he became good because he wasn't as evil as he thought he was or anybody thought he was. So it's like, I don't know, man. I thought the movie was fun for what it was trying to do. It was just, they knew it was a little streaming movie for the holidays, something different. And it was fun, but I think that was just a case of, I can't believe they're showing Satan in like in Santa time. Okay, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that movie wasn't as terrible as it was, but it wasn't very good either. But it's just, I
Yeah,
don't know. The Razzies, it's all about namesake. You know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, I watched about a 50 million more movies last year that were probably worse than all of these. One of them being The Brutalist. But no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a Nora. But I had to throw that one in there for Dom Fisher, folks. All right, that does it, I think, for this week's episode. Few programming notes for those of you listening at home. We are live obviously on Sundays. We will be back next week, and then of course the week after that's the Super Bowl, so we might not be. Next week we'll be back with some fun, and then the following week. But programming note: if you're not watching, we are live on Tuesdays, breaking down Monday Night Raw on Netflix. We're having a great time doing that. I think it's brought a fun element to society as a collective whole for Dom and I's mental headspace, I think, right now.
yeah, yeah.
But speaking of mental health, mental headspace, like we do every week here on the Popcorn People podcast, we give Dom Fisher, I say 1 minute, sometimes he goes a little bit longer, but I just say
Yeah.
1 minute. We give Dom a minute. We give Dom the microphone for an unfiltered take for as long as he wants to. But without further ado, make sure you guys tune in each week. We are live here on the Drive-In Podcast Network. Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Tuesdays, Saturdays. We're live every day of the week with a different podcast. But without further ado, let me give the floor to my good friend Dom Fisher to close out the show.
All right, all right. So, in light of an event that took place here in Nashville, I don't want to kind of give it any more light than it already has, but it was negative. And I was been thinking about like what's different about the kids nowadays compared to when I was a kid, compared to when my parents were kids, grandparents. And I know part of the situation, part of the problem is the internet and this the addictive quality and the iPad kids and things like that. And then we go to the media that we consume. And I wonder, besides like the kids don't play outside, the world's different. You can't just let them outside like you used to. But what happened to the adolescent adventure films, right? What happened to the Sandlots? What happened to the it was Lean on Me, Stand by Me, one of the two. Either one, hell, both of those. What happened to the Mighty Ducks, the Heavyweights? What happened to the Goonies? What happened to us making films that gave kids not only entertainment, but it showed them what a sense of responsibility and individuality is as a child, to where you can interact with your friends, to kind of walk that line of like I want to be an adult, but I know I'm not, and this it's disappeared. It's kind of turned into, you know, everything that I see that's for kids is kind of what everybody's favorite term is brain rot. It's just nonsense. It's prank videos. I don't know what happened, why we quit making these, but we need those back. We need this kind of safety blanket for the kids to go, oh, that's what it's like to be a kid, to show them like things that are possible, like what happens in family situations, how they can deal with their emotions and things in their households, other than looking for stuff online where they may get the wrong information. So yeah, hopefully that comes back. That's my pitch to Hollywood. You have to bring these movies back. There's a reason why our generation loves The Sandlot and Mighty Ducks, and even like the Homeward Bounds and things like that, where you have a group of friends figuring out and solving an issue without the adults, because kids are smart too and they need to know that they can do things on their own. So yeah, we need to fix that. Fix it, bring it back. Sandlot 12, Mighty Ducks 4, something. Somebody make something original and bring the shit back, because the kids, they need help as much as the rest of us.
Tune in next week.